Tiny Trax taps into a bit of nostalgia for me, and that may sound like an odd statement for a PSVR game. Bear with me here, as you see, Tiny Trax is basically the box art of every over-the-top stunt slot car race set that I saw as a kid. And it taps into that idea nicely with what you see in the trailers and marketing. But unlike the ones that I unboxed as a kid to find that at the end of the day, they were just bits of plastic sitting in my bedroom, Tiny Trax, on the other hand, gives you the whole environments in which these tracks belong, not just the tracks themselves. So, if you were a kid with a good imagination and a totally unlimited budget, then Tiny Trax is in the ballpark of what you would probably expect to see, with all its little details set across 3 themed environments: tropical, fire and ice, and space. With a wide range of complexity across the 12 tracks on offer, including jumps, loops, and even underwater sections, where you can duck your head under the ocean and all the game sound and music changes as though you have really submerged your head into the water to watch your tiny car race across the sandy ocean floor track. But let's move on from my googly-eyed nostalgia trip of the imagination and talk about how the game works, as it's a bit of a departure from the classic slot car racing, as your cars don't go careening off the track on the corners, but instead there is a drift mechanic at play. As you take a corner, you have to manage your drift with your left thumbstick, keeping a drift indicator in the green. Get this right, and not only will you get around the corner quickly, you will also charge your boost, and we'll get to boost in a moment. But mess the drift up and the indicator bar will go red, and you'll find yourself getting stuck on the corners. Then we have the boost and lane switching to manage to try and get ahead of our miniature on-track competitors. Managing your boost effectively can take a bit of working out for the different tracks, and very much becomes a case of knowing when to use it or when to regain it in the corners. The ability to change sides of the track means that if you want to get around the track the quickest, then you really want to be on those inside lanes as well. So what can seem like quite shallow gameplay at first becomes quite an intricate rhythm game that, if you want to get ahead, means you're going to have to find a groove on each of the tracks, as the AI cars in the single player modes don't hold back much. So you have a skill curve to get over if you want to win. And that brings us nicely onto the player modes, where you have both solo player and multiplayer modes available, with the multiplayer allowing for 2 to 4 players in public or private lobbies. In both modes, you can either play one track at a time, or you can play in the cup modes that will pit you against all 4 tracks of a chosen environment, one after the other. Or there is the All-Star Cup, where it will take you through a selection of tracks from each of the different environments. Let's talk about price and the longevity of the game. It's just £13, and while you can easily play on all of the tracks within an hour, you're unlikely to come in first much in that time, as it really does take some time to get into it properly. Not to mention, there is a childlike joy that doing well will have you wanting to feel more of that win. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, as it also has those moments where you mess up in a corner and lose it at the last second. There is, of course, the amount of repetition in the game, as it is a slot car racer, so that's kind of unavoidable. But one thing I'm kind of surprised about and have not seen is a reverse mode for all the tracks. Or maybe I've missed that somewhere. At the very least, if I haven't missed that somewhere, I hope it's something that FuturLabs may look at adding in the future. With everything now kind of covered, who was this game for? Well, if you ever liked Scalextric or slot car racing, and you want to play on amazing tracks that are just impossible in the real world, then this is an absolute must-buy for you. If you want a game that's just a little bit of fun, that you can casually dip in and out of, then this could be what you're looking for. If you're new to VR and just wanting to get your VR legs, or you want to show VR off to people that have never been in VR before, this is quite a nice little intro game, just to get a taste for it. But at the same time, being quite addictive and charming in its own right. So what's my overall conclusion? Well, it did make me give a few of those wow faces that have been seen in the adverts, and it really is very charming, and has kept me entertained for a good few hours already, just trying to get better, and I'm still not done yet. So, at this sort of price, it's good value for money, and I hope that many people will pick it up to enjoy its childlike charm. Now, if you liked this video and you want to see more, then please leave a like or a comment with any questions. And if you haven't subscribed, then there's a button down on the right, and there's a couple of other videos up above as well, so please enjoy.